Miss Susan. Thank you, everyone. Hi, everyone. Michelle Molitor here, Nectar Consulting. Yes, my clients call me the mind detective, and I'll tell you more about that in a little while. But I have a question for you, like a junior icebreaker, if you will. And I'd like to know what it means for you to belong. So type into the chat for me what it means for you to belong, what that looks like, what that feels like. To feel welcomed, to be accepted on my own terms, community, respect, unconditionally accepted, valued, included, values for who I am, included in showing up as my authentic self, connection, being myself, being accepted, being celebrated. These are all really, really wonderful answers. And for me, it's about acceptance and connection, feeling like I am seen, heard, and valued, right? And so we move into different groups, whether it's our family of origin, our friends, our colleagues, our communities. And sometimes we feel like we belong and sometimes we don't. And y'all are probably aware, because of this amazing group of people that we have here, that we're in a bit of a mental health crisis, right? There's a lack of belonging going on, which is leading to disconnection, or the disconnection is leading to the lack of belonging. It's probably the other way around. And that lack of belonging creates a lack of self-love, a lack of seeing our own value and worth, which then creates a lack of vulnerability because we feel like we have to protect ourselves all of the time. Because if we can't be ourselves, we create these barriers to connection. So we're all walking around with these shields to protect our vulnerable hearts. Does this resonate with y'all? You know? So, quick story. Many years ago, one of my very first coach training courses, the wise John Vercelli once said to me, he goes, you're much more approachable when you're vulnerable. And I was like, oh, no, sir, no, thank you. Not gonna happen, right? I thought all this in my head. I was like, oh yeah, okay, sure, I'll be vulnerable. I had no idea how to do that, none, because I had just come out of getting bullied out of my corporate career, where I was attacked and sent out into the wild, essentially. And so the problem is when we don't feel safe, we close down, right? Yet when we do feel safe, when we do feel like we belong, when we do feel accepted, we're safe to open our hearts, to connect. And when we do that, acceptance and belonging and connection can happen naturally, right? Which leads to communication and collaboration and greater expansion of individuals. It allows them to thrive in ways that they couldn't before. So if we all want to feel seen and heard, right? If we all want to create connection, then what gets in the way of this? What creates conflict and miscommunication and misinterpretations? Well, what I found is when our dignity gets violated, our sense of self-worth, that sense of feeling seen and honored for who we are, right? And when our value, our sense of value and worth gets diminished or dismissed or even destroyed by others, then what do? We close up. We create those barriers to connection to feel safe, so we don't feel attacked because we don't feel seen, heard, or respected. So I want you to start thinking about, how often does this happen? How often do we accidentally, unconsciously violate the dignity of those around us, even those that we love and care for most, right? because each of these moments creates another layer and another layer and another layer and a barrier to connection. And next thing we know, we're covered in all these cloaks. We're stuck in a box and we're really uncomfortable and we don't know how to get out, right? So why does this happen? Well, we can thank Amy. Amy is your amygdala. She's the little lizard lady who lives in your limbic brain. Back here, there's two little almond-sized bits. And Amy's job is solely to keep you safe and alive and on the planet. And when she thinks that you're being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, which might come in the form of a boss or a colleague or a partner or a child, right? What do? We protect ourselves. And she makes all these little mental notes for you, right? She's always keeping notes like, oh, don't say that in front of so-and-so because you'll get attacked, right? It's not safe. Or don't be this way. Don't be too much or too big or too loud or too enthusiastic because so-and-so or this culture or that organization won't like it. And again, we start cloaking ourselves and protecting ourselves. And so y'all probably have heard of Daniel Goleman. He literally wrote the book on emotional intelligence. He says, your amygdala is the lock that must first be opened to give meaning to events as they happen. It merges current events that have no meaning to past negative events that carry troubling meanings. And it has the power to temporarily shut down your prefrontal cortex, right? Your rational mind, your sane mind, and scans experiences comparing what is happening now to what has happened in the past, which typically have nothing to do with each other. So we've all had a moment where we got triggered, right? We were having a great day and all of a sudden you were in a bad mood, right? What happened? Well, that's Amy's fault, right? She's like, oh, this is too much like that. So nope, whoop. And your whole physiology changes. Because when we feel like we're being attacked, when our dignity is being violated, research from Donna Hicks has shown that it actually has the same physiological reaction as if we're being attacked. So our heart starts to race, our palms get sweaty, and we need to fight, flee, or freeze. Does this make sense? All right, so one of the greatest lessons that I've learned is your greatest source of pain is your greatest source of power, passion, and purpose. And so I want to take us into our breakthrough groups, which I love that. I just love that, Matthew. We're going to go into our breakthrough group here in just a moment. And I want you to think about these three questions and talk about these with each other. And remember, this is a safe space. Matthew and the team here have created this beautiful, safe space where we can all be with each other and see each other genuinely. So I think that's why I love coming here every single week, right? Because it's a place to feel at home, even amongst strangers, right? So these are the three questions that I want you to consider in the breakthrough room. What's one catalytic moment when your dignity has gotten violated? When you felt like your value or worth was stepped on in some way? What's the decision that you made to stay safe, to protect your heart, that Amy had you close down? And then the third question is, what's the gift or the wisdom of the wound from that source of pain, right? Because what I found is it leads you to the place that you're supposed to be. So let me give you an example, right? I'll go first. So my catalytic moment was getting bullied out of my job by two men that I hired for my team that created a massive case of imposter syndrome for me. And the decision I made to protect myself was corporate America is not safe. I will be attacked. And I was terrified to go back. Terrified, like, oh, no, we're not going there. Not going to have it. But the gift that came from that experience is that I discovered coaching and my passion and purpose as a coach and a hypnotherapist to help people remove those blocks and those barriers to pain, and to allow their authentic selves to shine. Individually, we do that, and collectively as teams, we help people reclaim their dignity by having genuine conversations with each other. So